Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tyria, then, the premier Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 focused podcast where we play through the story in order of release. With me always is Miko.
Hello, everyone.
And it's very hot and sunny here in Tyria.
It is.
It's very dry. Yeah, dusty.
Sandy.
But
probably more.
Yeah, but weirdly, strangely beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've made it to the Crystal Desert in the last mission we did last episode, Sanctum K. We met a new character who is not in this episode at all.
No.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But welcome back, everyone. It's time for episode 12. We've done 12 of these. We're firmly into the double digits at this point, so yes. Buckle up, because there's quite a bit to cover in this episode. We weren't really sure how to tackle the desert because it's not structured the same as the rest of the game. You can kind of do the missions in whatever order you want, so we have no direction, and when the game gives us no direction, the show falls apart, essentially. So we've had to self-direct, which is already going off the rails.
It'll be all right. We'll make it work.
Yes. Miko, 35-second plot summary. Go.
From episode 11, we went and played 2 missions, Riverside Province and Sanctum K. And in each mission, we found out there was a traitor at work. Our traitor, aka the Shining Blades traitor, was Dinas, who had infiltrated the White Mantle, and he helped us steal the Scepter of War. And then in Sanctum K, we found out that the White Mantle's traitor was Marcus. Marquis, yes, and our character was super shocked and surprised that there was a traitor in the Shining Blade, even though we've been learning that there is a traitor within the Shining Blade for a couple of missions and several quests.
We had a vision, for fuck's sake.
Yes, so that was a little silly. But Vizier Kilbron, who's not in this episode, tells us, hey, no worries, you need to go out to the desert because the Shining Blade are destroyed. The White Mantle have come in and taken all your friends, scattered them to the winds. They've kidnapped Evenia. So we are now out in the Crystal Desert on the way to do something called Ascend.
Yeah, and it's very vague what this means.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can hear the screaming children outside my window, but they've picked now to invade. I'm not I'm not a skilled enough audio engineer to remove that in post. So you guys will just have to wonder if I'm telling the truth or if my neighbors are locking people away upstairs who are screaming for release. Right. I don't know, but I found this part of the story to be what's the right word? Thin. Not what we're about to discuss, but what you just went over.
Yeah. Last episode's plot revelations.
Yeah, because the last episode was a roller coaster, plot-wise, right?
Yeah.
Because we score this big old victory with Riverside Province, right? We invade the Temple of the Unseen and we steal the Scepter of War, right? They're like, big artifact. We're like, hell yeah, we win. And then the next episode, they're like, actually, the White Mantle just wiped out the entirety of your organization. They win. And the whole purpose of all of this was for us to give the scepter to some dude named Vizier Kilbron that we've never met or heard of before. And we get to that and we're like, okay, this guy's the guy now. And then he's like, actually, you guys are going to be going to the desert and I shan't be coming with you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
By the way, go get ascended.
Get ascended because you are chosen, and we were like, wait, what? We're chosen? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
that divine thing going on, so
he gives us the vaguest set of instructions.
I mean, it could be worse. He could have been like telling us with the druids, like to go and smoke some ganja with the druids and hang out because the druids think that we're there's a spark of the divine in us. We're like, okay, sure.
I'm still gonna be kneeling at the god shrines. Okay, if we find any god shrines, I'm kneeling.
All right.
I'm gonna find the desert druids.
There you go.
I don't know what the djinn. I'm gonna find the djinn.
The djinn.
That's a desert druid, right? Am I crazy?
I mean, it's probably accurate.
There are djinn in Guild Wars. We're gonna find them not soon.
No, not soon, but we will find them at some point.
Yeah, at some point in Guild Wars 3 Nightfall. So stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned for that. And so yeah, we end up in the desert. We are given a vague instruction by the vizier to, quote, ascend. And he dumps us off on the shore of a dumpy little trading outpost called Amnoon Oasis. Yeah. And this place is literally a ghost town.
Literally.
As in 90% of the population are ghosts.
Ghosts. Yeah, isn't that weird?
There's a handful of like real people here though, also.
Yeah. Yeah, and which makes you kind of wonder, it's like, why are you hanging out with a ghost?
And why are you a merchant?
And why are you a merchant, right?
Why do you have goods and services as an ethereal spirit?
Right. It's like you're carrying on your trade from life, but okay, you're still... How
do they take the money?
Trade, yeah, I don't know.
Are they just like, put it in that bucket there? That's my money bucket. They can't empty it, right?
Like when they say, would you like me to craft you some rare materials? And you're like, how are you holding your tools?
How are you holding your tools, your inventory? I don't know. I think we've just poked a hole in the economic structure of the Amnoon Oasis. Now someone's turned on a motorcycle outside my window. I just want to explain.
Here.
Yeah, I just want to contextualize the absolute fucking war zone that's occurring directly outside my window right now.
Summertime.
The
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, our one sunny day out of the year is unfortunately today. So welcome to that. But yeah, the Amnoon Oasis, it's clearly like borderline abandoned.
Yeah.
But there are people here. On the world map, this is like in the southwest, and it's kind of like across the mountains from Ascalon. In Guild Wars 2, you can go from Ascalon to like in what's that region called with the Crystal Desert Gate in Launch Guild Wars 2 that you weren't allowed to go through? There's a map in Ascalon. Yeah. The Fields of Ruin. That's the one.
The Fields of Ruin. That's the one. Thank you. I'm so glad that you remembered, because I was like, which zone is he thinking about? Because I'm blanking.
Yeah, so when you look at the world map in Guild Wars 1, it goes Ascalon, then there's like an intangible little barrier, and then it goes down to the Crystal Desert. And in Guild Wars 2, they kind of contextualize that by putting a little gate, and they're like, you can't go in here. It's bad.
Right.
So then we just, like, a million years later in the plot, we take an airship there. But that's way down the line. All right, now we've taken a boat there. And Amnoon Oasis is like right on the coast of the Crystal Desert. So I get the feeling that like people can come here because it's like on the water, right? So there's you can like fish for food. There's a little puddle in the middle of the city that is the oasis from the name. Right. It's very small, but it does have palm trees.
It does. And lots of tattered tents.
Yeah, this place is in shambles. Like it looks like a pirate town, like a smuggler's kind of drop off. And it has ghosts that do business and have like needs and wants. And I don't know how that works. But we're here. And one of these ghosts is called the Ghostly Hero.
Yes.
And, like, naturally, we want to talk to this man, right? His name is the Ghostly Hero. Who wouldn't talk to this guy? But as Miko pointed out to me earlier, he has an exclamation, but it is, like, inside his body.
Yeah.
Because his model is too tall.
Right.
Like,
and
something...
if you didn't know that to go looking for him for the quest that you need to progress the story... You could easily just walk past him.
Yeah, and just not know what to do. Luckily, this is Prophecies, so you could just wander around until you find a mission to do.
Right.
It wouldn't work out so well in Factions or Nightfall, where the game requires you to follow the story. But yeah, in Prophecies, you can kind of just do whatever you want. But we are Tyria pilled, so we know that we must talk to the ghostly hero. He's got a quest for us called Sands of Souls.
Yes.
And that is he basically says that we need to go to a place called Augury Rock and talk to High Ritual Priest, ?
Great Ritual Priest.
Zamut.
Yes.
Yeah. Great Ritual Priest, that's the one. I could not be bothered to type that out, so I just typed Zamut in my notes, and I was struggling to remember.
I screen capped it.
Ah, yes, that's the best way to take notes.
Yeah, that's it.
And, so we have to go do that, but one thing that is interesting to note about our arrival in the Unknown Oasis is that there is a new henchman on the henchman roster.
Yes.
First of all, the henchmen are now level 17. I think I hit level 20 last episode. I believe you hit it this episode, right?
Yes, in like the very, very, very start of Sand of Souls.
Perfect. So we're both level 20, level 17 henchmen. And our new henchman is Lena, the Protector henchman. She is a Protection Prayers monk. Yep. Did you talk to Lena?
I didn't talk to her. I just added her.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, I'm so bad.
You didn't talk to Lena? She's new.
What did she have to say? I know, I forgot.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting what she has to say.
What does she have to say?
She says that she was sent by Priestess Rashena to protect us. Now, you probably don't remember who Priestess Rashena is.
No.
I remember who Priestess Rashena is because I am obsessed with Eldritch Sextants.
Oh, that's right. No, get out. Did she send her?
Priestess Rashena is the person who we give the Eldritch Sextant to.
Well, at least she is looking out for us.
Yeah, Lena literally says that following us is a, quote, lifetime commitment.
Oh, well then.
That's rich considering this is the first time I've ever met her in my entire life.
Yes, well, but she's committed for life now.
She is, because from here on out we're going to need 2 monks. Because the desert is a huge difficulty spike.
Yep.
It's not super apparent when you leave in Prophet's Path. Prophet's Path, the explorable area right outside, is pretty doable. Yeah. But the second you step out of Augury Rock into a place called Skyward Reach, you are basically mogged by level 22 Hydras. Yep. So that was that was an experience. We've got lots of, besides the new henchmen, and as Miko pointed out, Lena's entire job is essentially trying to keep Alicia from dying so that Alicia can heal everyone else.
That's right.
Alicia does die less if Lena is in the party.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Yes. Also, unfortunately, my enemies die much more slowly with Lena in the party instead of another damage dealer. Yes. Who did you kick out to start bringing Lena?
The casters.
Did Dunham not make the cut?
Dunham didn't make the cut because Dunham was getting mobbed, probably because Alicia couldn't keep him alive, and Orion was just getting eaten for lunch. It was like Claude Part 3.
Claude Part 3, Orion.
Yeah. So I kicked both of the casters and I added Reyna. So I went double pew pew with the bows and double warrior and double monks.
Oh wow, so just monk, warrior, ranger. That's your whole party.
That was my strategy that brought me success when I got to the Alona Reach mission.
Yeah, you had a bit of a struggle with Alona Reach, didn't you?
It was not a good time.
All right. We're definitely we're going to deal with Alona Reach. I actually ended up booting Orion for Lena. I figured there's a lot of different types of casters that we're fighting in the desert, so having a Mesmer on hand is probably going to be useful. So Dunham gets to stay. But Orion, I know his fire skills are not the best fire skills there are, and I don't know how much damage he's actually doing to things.
Right. Yeah.
So I cut him and he's out. Lena is in. I did a lot of my adventuring with just Alicia, and I found we were just getting absolutely
Wrecked.
Pummeled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lena is, I think she's in going forward. But yeah, we venture out of Amnoon Oasis. There's another quest that I took in Amnoon Oasis, and I believe you did too, from my man Fangfa Tai.
Yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion that he's related to Jaju Tai, whom we met back in Kryta.
Yes, I don't remember a lot about Jaju Tai besides the fact that she's like a loan shark and a giant asshole.
Yeah.
And then Fang Fa Tai doesn't seem as nefarious, but once you do his quest, he will mention to you that his family has exclusive trading rights to the Amnoon Oasis.
There you go.
Which I don't know how lucrative that contract is.
Considering they're all dead?
Yeah, considering that it is a literal ghost town. Yeah, I think the Canthan Empire might have scammed Fang Fa Tai on presenting him with this very exclusive trade contract for the Amnoon Oasis.
We'll send you out to Amnoon Oasis. It will be lucrative. Go out and, wither in the desert.
Yeah, go out and stay there. Goodbye. Yeah, so he wants us to go out into the desert, all the way to a place called the Salt Flats, which is like 3 explorable areas away, and find a ghost. And he knows this person's a ghost called Sanat Sen. Yes. He knows about this guy because he worked for some dude named Turai Asa. Now, I don't know about you, but talking to Fang Fa Tai was my first time in Prophecies hearing the name Turai Asa.
Yeah. Same.
We're going to learn a lot more about Turai Asa. In fact, we've already spoken with him.
We have.
But yeah, Fang Fa Tai apparently fancies himself a bit of a historian. And he wants us... There's a lot of like really directionless quests that seem to exist for little to no reason in the desert. This is one of them. He literally just wants us to go see if we can find that ghost.
Right.
He doesn't even like really... There's nothing he wants from the ghost. He's just like, yeah, I don't know. Go out there and see what's up. I can't seem to find him. So that's...
He says that Senet Sen was a master artisan that worked for Turai Asa, but that the ghost has never appeared before him, which he finds troubling.
Right.
And he's anxious to learn the secrets of this ancient people.
Yeah, so. Not super anxious because did you complete this quest?
I did.
Yeah, we don't even have to go back and talk to Fang Fa again.
No, we don't.
And I tried it. I tried going back and talking to him again just to see if there was something. And all he has to say is, did I mention my family has exclusive trading rights to the Amnoon Oasis? Like, that's all he has to say. I'm like, dude, I did your quest. It's actually a pain in the ass quest. It was really hard.
It's kind of, because it's, you're slogging around in the desert, getting sand in your shoes, and having to fight or avoid engaging the enemy. And
when you walk up to, so when you find this ghost, Sanat Sen, in the Salt Flats, he's surrounded by enemies, first of all, and then more enemies spawn in, pop-up mobs when you walk up to him. It's an absolute nightmare. There's like 25 enemies that you have to like tediously pull and kill. And if you're wondering what kind, they are scarabs and devourers. Yes, which we love so much. Yeah, we got sick to death of devourers back in Ascalon, and then we got sick to death of moss scarabs in the Maguma jungle. And now we get the best of both worlds, because where there's scarabs, there's devourers, and where there's devourers, there's scarabs. And I think they're the first things we see when we come out of Amnoon Oasis into Prophet's Path. Yeah. Yeah. Because they pop up at us. They do, yeah, and the maps are full of these pop-up mobs of these devourers and scarabs. There's jade scarabs, which are necromancers, and rock eater scarabs, which are warriors. The jade scarabs are the most prevalent, and they die pretty easily, but everything in the desert is just like higher level and more difficult than anything we've done so far. But yeah, long story short, the Ancient Secrets quest that we do for Fang Fa Tai, we get to Senat Sen, this ghost that he's looking for, and Senat Sen is just like, dude, I've appeared for that guy like 8 times and he's never seen me.
Yeah.
So he calls...
So he's a short-sighted mortal.
Yeah, he refers to Fang Fa as a short-sighted mortal. He's manifested for Fang Fa several times, but he failed to see him every time. And then he's just like, I don't know, do you want me to craft you some rare materials? He's one of these weird materials crafters that's just out in the middle of an explorable area. With nothing better to do than to, like, hawk his crafted wares. Mm-hmm. I did not need anything from Senat Sen.
I did not either, except for his maybe, 1,000 experience points.
Yeah, he just gives you the crest reward there. There's no need to go talk to Fang Fa again. There's no follow-up with this quest whatsoever. Yet again, another borderline non-quest that was actually... The only thing that makes it a quest is how much of a slog it is to actually do.
I will say that while I was running this quest, I actually wrote down all of the cool boss names that I encountered in my entire playthrough for this episode were pop-ups in this while running this quest.
I think I only encountered one boss at all, period, besides the mission. And that was Mr. Plunk Trudge.
Okay, so I didn't run into Plunk Trudge. I ran into Bleck Oogle, which is a scarab. Isn't that a great name?
Plunk Trudge is also a scarab.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe Grench Trundle from a few episodes back is a scarab as well. Yeah. I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah. So Bleck Oogle, and I was like, Bleck Oogle, is that it? I don't remember that enemy type, and then I realized, no, boss. And also very, very blue boss, and he's coming at you right now.
Oh, is that a monk boss?
It was a monk boss, a level 24.
Yeah, so most mobs are level 20, and then most bosses are 24. Hydra bosses are 26.
Yeah, I ran past one, because I didn't want to get fried.
I think I may have fought I fought the Hydra boss, but I was so concerned with making sure he died that I did not even check what his name was.
Yeah, I ran past one called Shen Zen something or other, and I was like, I don't know what your name is. I would go kill you, but you have friends, and I only have Alicia, so I'm not going to engage.
Oh, by the time I was done talking to Senat Sen, my party was out of reses. Only 3 of us were still alive. Me, Little Tom, and Reyna. Everyone else was dead. And I just had to run myself to because there's an outpost portal in Salt Flats, and I was like, I want to get that. I don't want to have to slog all the way back to get that outpost. Thank goodness I had the sprint skill equipped. People been roasting me in the comments for having sprint on my bar. Came in handy here. Okay.
There you go.
Running
faster is always good.
Yes, sprinted myself over to Seeker's Passage. So now I have that on my map and I can teleport there.
Excellent.
Huge. Absolutely huge. I also, I made some skill changes.
Oh.
Because the Amnoon Oasis had a skill trader that actually had a good skill.
What'd you get?
So this is my new favorite skill. This skill is called Heavy Blow.
Oh.
It is a hammer skill.
I thought you already had Heavy Blow.
I do not. I have Mighty Blow.
Oh, right. Okay. I knew there was
And Heavy Blow has actually finally dethroned Mighty Blow and has taken its place on my skill bar. So Heavy Blow strikes for plus 28 damage. And if a target has weakness on them, it knocks them down.
Oh, nice.
So in previous episodes, I've used a skill called Staggering Blow to inflict weakness. And it's weakness with quite a long duration. It's like 15 seconds or something. So I reslotted Staggering Blow to do weakness, and then I slotted Heavy Blow so that I get a guaranteed knockdown with bonus damage. And then I slotted Crushing Blow after, which strikes for bonus damage, and if the target's knocked down, it causes Deep Wound.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, I don't even have
a skill chain.
That is, yeah. No, your boy did a little bit of theory crafting.
Well done, you.
Yeah, and it's... I also wanted to point out that Heavy Blow has a unique skill animation that's actually really cool. And I'd never seen it before because I'd never used the skill before. You know how when you would stab someone on the ground with a sword, how you would turn the sword over and like plunge it down?
Yes.
You do that with your hammer for heavy blow. No, you do.
Nice.
100%.
That's good.
Yeah, you'll guys check the footage. You'll see my character do it about 100 times.
That must feel satisfying.
It's very satisfying to use. Yeah, I very much like it. So huge skill change there that has improved my gameplay loop for the better, I think.
Excellent.
Did you make any skill changes?
I took Ward Against Elements, which I was very happy to have because I ran into a lot of casters, particularly Elementalists.
Actually, that's does that defend against any elemental damage?
Yes, I believe so. And so when I have ranger bosses like these scarabs, that will throw fiery arrows and start setting my party on fire, I can at least try to mitigate some with that.
And not to mention the massive spike damage from the hydras. Yes. And the massive earth elemental damage from the sand drakes.
Yes.
If you thought hydras sounded bad, we're not done with desert dragon creatures. Sand drakes have made an appearance.
Yeah. Yes, and Stormkin.
Yes.
Because most of the Stormkin I've run into were mesmers. Yes. But I did run into an elementalist, I believe.
I don't remember if I fought. I think I saw him wandering around, but I think I skipped it.
Gin's Hail Flare. Now I'm going to have to make sure that he's actually a elementalist. No, yes, I was right.
Yeah, I think I saw a red aura one, and I think I was like, you know what? He's not in my way. I don't have to do that.
Yeah. He's a air elementalist.
As far as your general combat experience in the Crystal Desert, like at large, do you find that it's impacting you differently than combat in the game so far has, or are you still feeling pretty competent?
No, I feel like if I only have Alicia, the party suffers greatly because she just can't keep up from the different sources of damage, especially when we get mobbed. Because you might think, oh, there's only 3 enemies, and then all of a sudden you get like 7 more pop up from underneath the ground, and you're like, great. And she just can't keep up. So I had, at one point, I can't even remember where I was going, but I was out there, and I had a sandworm pop up, level 22, that has a knockdown skill, and he had friends, sand elementals. Yes, that was another. I knew there was another enemy type that I ran.
Wait, where did you go where you found sand elementals?
I think I was out by the salt flats.
Because I thought those were only way set. Like the southernmost area in the Crystal Desert is called the Arid Sea. There's nothing there. There's like no quests. There's nothing, and it's full of sand elementals. But I haven't gone there yet.
It's Path. That's where I found them.
Okay, yeah. I did not run into the sand elementals in Prophet's Path. Prophet's Path is a little bit of a labyrinth, so you may have gotten lost.
Yes.
Because I got lost in Prophet's Path, 100%.
I was constantly having to check the map to see where I was, but the sand elementals popped up. They were hanging out with this sandworm that just popped up, and I was like, oh, that's a big worm. And he's level 22, and he's an earth elementalist, and the next thing I knew, it was just me and Orion still alive. Actually, first it was me and Dunham, and then I was desperate, and I popped a Scroll of Resurrection to try and get my whole party up, but I was only close to Orion, so I only got him up, which was fantastic, because then Dunham died, and then it was like, bro, let's just run, you and me. Let's go. Leave the corpses behind, and oh look, there's an outpost. Let's go in there.
That's a brutal feeling, popping a res scroll and only getting one res out of it.
Yeah, it was really, really, really annoying. It's like, well, there's Matza, I won't get back.
Well, for me, the combat in the desert isn't so much a henchman issue as it is every enemy in the desert seems tailor-made to hard counter the entire concept of a warrior in Guild Wars 1.
One of the things, and I think I messaged you on Discord, there was one skill that we quest that we both took for this, or one side quest, and it had a skill reward. Where was it?
You talking about winnowing?
Winnowing, which is a ranger spirit skill, and it boosts physical damage.
Yes.
And I thought, well, might be helpful for my warriors, and it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can get them doing a bit more damage, before Alicia gets eaten, then we win.
And the big problem I'm having is on a conceptual level. The things in the desert do things to me that completely disable my primary functions. So the rock shot devourers, they blind you, right? 90% miss rate. The storm can cast a hex with like a 10-minute duration called Soothing Images, which just makes it so you can't gain adrenaline.
Yeah.
Right? The Sandrakes blind you.
Yep.
The storm can also spam a skill called Clumsiness, which means when you attack in melee, your attack gets neutered and you take like 80 damage. It's just the entire desert seems stacked against me as a warrior.
Have you been taking Antidote Signet?
I have not been taking Antidote Signet. Because
it hasn't left my bar since I equipped it, and when we got to the poison water and Kryta, and let me tell you, it has saved my bacon.
Well, here's my issue with it is, as a warrior, when I'm in melee, if something can blind me once, it can blind me repeatedly.
Again. Yeah. No, I get it, because I have had to then wait for it to come off, like it's a very, very fast cooldown, and I'm like, why am I blinded again?
Yeah, and all my other skills on my bar I do use quite a bit. My pet is now level 20, actually.
Oh, nice. Mine is still 19, and I'm like, what has happened to you?
You gotta get that pet leveled up.
I know.
You can't be lagging behind.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? He was even dying out in the desert.
Oh, my pet died so many times. My pet's actually having a really rough time. A lot of it is the Hydras. The Hydras are the most difficult for me, because they use a skill called Fireball, which does like 150 damage to me and little Tom and my pet. And if there's more than 2 Hydras, well, we just die. I had a full 60% death penalty when I got to the teleporter in Skyward Reach.
No way.
Yeah, that's how bad. Yeah, that's how bad it is being a warrior out here in the Crystal Desert. It's a nightmare. So yeah, there's a lot of new enemy types. There's still some more that come up in the mission. There are a new tribe of centaurs called the Lasaru. They're centaurs. They're level 20 now, but they're centaurs.
Yes. Yeah.
Not much different from the centaurs we've already been fighting. Just different tribe, different spot, higher level.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that little quest for Fang Fatai running out to the Salt Flats. Turns out it didn't really go anywhere. And then the ghostly hero wants us to head over to Augury Rock and talk to Zamut, who has some info on getting ascended. So after all that desert combat and slog, did you make it to Augury Rock?
I did.
And did you have to use the teleporters to get there?
I think I did. No, maybe I didn't. I can't remember now.
Oh, I couldn't figure it out without the teleporters.
I have a feeling I used one, because I was like, where is the road? And then I saw a teleporter and I was like, win. So. Yeah,
so for the people who don't know what we're talking about, explain what these desert teleporters are and how they work.
So they are in shape, they are like, on either side, when they're together, if you were to look at them together, they form essentially a diamond. So you've got a triangle on either side, roughly. And they've got columns, and they've got a circle. And when you step into them and turn around, you'll see some little, kind of, not pillars, but they're like little glowy stones on a pedestal. And usually there are about 4 of them. I think there are others later on that have more. But these so far that we've encountered have 4, and they will light up in a pattern, and then you have to go and touch them in that same pattern. And if you get the pattern correct, then the teleporter activates and you get teleported to the other side of the teleporter. And you cross whatever chasm that you have encountered.
Yes, and it may sound very simple, but there is video evidence that you're probably watching right now of me failing these multiple times.
Yeah.
So enjoy that. Yeah, I used these a lot this episode, actually. Yeah. There was a lot of them.
I like them.
Yeah, I think they're fine. I don't know why these used to annoy me so much when I was younger and I would play this game. I think just the hassle of having to do it annoyed me.
Yeah, and it's the memory game aspect. Like, it's a puzzle that you just have to just remember the pattern that it lights up in, and sometimes you forget.
Yeah, I think it used to annoy me that I had to actually turn my brain on for a second and focus, instead of just pressing C space through the entire game.
Right.
But yeah, I had to use a couple of these to get through Prophet's Path because I got lost. If you're lost in the desert, when in doubt, use the teleporter. Mm-hmm. It will usually take you somewhere that will open up a new pathway for you.
Yep.
And so after I did a bit of that, I did make it to Augury Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And Augury Rock is kind of like a temple type of thing, and it overlooks this really big mesa in the middle of the desert, just a giant rock.
Yes.
The aforementioned Augury Rock. And there's a bunch of ghosts in here, and one of them is named Grand Priest Zamut.
Yes.
And did you have a chit chat with him?
I did. And he was like, "Hey, so you'd like to come and ascend? Well, follow me, and I'll take you to the dudes who will tell you all about that." So he takes you to meet 3 other NPCs.
And he takes us into an instance.
Yeah, it's an instance area.
But it's not a mission.
No, because you can't access the actual, like, in order to get to, like, the quote-unquote mission part of Augury Rock, you first have to complete 3, essentially, tests.
Trials of Ascension.
Yes, they're the Trials of Ascension, and they, the NPCs, who are all dressed in warrior armor, and are ghosts, of course, basically tell you where to go to find these. They tell you a little bit about themselves, who they are, who they were in life, and what they did. And then they tell you, right, you need to go over there and complete the trial. And then once you've done that, come back to me.
Yeah, and Fang Fa Tai was the one who mentioned this Tyria Asa person. Priest Zamut confirms that the ghostly hero who gave us the quest is this Tyria Asa.
Right.
So he mentions that the ghostly hero is Tyria Asa. Tyria Asa was, according to the story so far, what we learned from these 3 ghosts is he was the leader of a nation called Ilona. Keep in mind, this game came out before Nightfall, so none of the Nightfall stuff was in the game at this point.
Yeah.
So all we know is that there's people from the desert called Elonians, and that their leader was a guy named Tyria Asa. Nightfall is going to flesh all this out way more, and the bonus mission that we played at the end of this episode also fleshes this out a bit more. Yes, we have done a bonus mission.
We have.
Finally. The first one was not the one I expected. So yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, the ghostly hero is a guy named Tyria Asa, and these 3 general commander guys worked for him. Their names are General Mendoza, Lord Velodor, and Commander Josiah.
Yes.
And they all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
They all have the same identical model that Tyria Asa does.
Yeah, it's a bit disconcerting, but I guess whatever.
Yeah. Valador tells us he was there when Tyria... He does a bunch of name dropping. We don't know what any of this stuff means. Valador's like, I was there when Tyria Asa fought Palawa Joko at Jahai. That's gibberish to me right now.
Right.
Right. And he says he's actually the one that carried Tyrios' body away from where he died at the hands of, quote, the Forgotten.
Right.
Who we're going to learn about later this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we don't know what they are. So Valador has a little bit of an info dump for us. Valador points us towards somewhere called the Thirsty River. And he says we need to be cleansed of our earthly imperfections. Bit of a mean thing to say, but
yeah,
sure, go off. Then we've got General Mendoza. He was the general of the Elonian army. He also worked for Tyriosa. He also says he served at this place called Jahai. And he wants us to hit up the Dunes of Despair and help Tyriosa, aka the ghostly hero, infiltrate the Temple of Ascension. Yeah, lots of name dropping here.
Yeah.
Which will get us the attention of the gods, apparently. Yep. And these are each missions we're going to have to do. So Thirsty River is one, Dunes of Despair is one, and then Commander Josiah is the one who actually points us to where we go this episode. And he... did you write down what Commander Josiah introduces himself as?
I am the leader of men, vanquisher of dragons, and lover of women.
Yeah, Commander Josiah is...
ladies' man.
He's a little out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also was one of Asa's commanders, and he wants us to check out Ilona Reach to assemble what's called a vision crystal. Yes. If you have played Guild Wars 2, you are familiar with the concept of a vision crystal, yes. But probably not the same way that it's used in Guild Wars 1.
Right.
That's what we're going to be doing later this episode, is going to Ilona Reach and assembling a vision crystal. He says that Ilona Reach is where the Elonian people failed in their attempt to, quote, ascend. And throughout this whole discussion, huge info dump, lots of lore, lots of name dropping that we don't yet understand. I still don't really know what ascension actually is.
Right.
The game is keeping that very vague. I just find the notion that my character is like, okay, the fate of Tyria hangs in the balance. I'm putting my life on the line for this extremely vague concept that I don't even know is going to pan out.
Right.
And Vizier Kilbron has fucked off. He's gone. We have not seen him. We don't know what he's doing. We don't know where he is. We don't know what the plan is other than for us to achieve ascension. So I just find, even though the desert is probably my favorite area in Guild Wars 1, I just think it's very visually cool, and the vibe is great. And there's a lot of like mysteries in the desert. The story flow is just so vague.
Yeah, I mean, we're clearly getting information about. I think because it's vague. It's vague because we haven't found out a lot yet, and because they've brought in the Elonians into the story, and we're like, we didn't even know you guys existed. At least us as the player. No, not the player character, but also the player character. Like, who are you people, Elonians, and why are you all dead? And what was it that you were trying to achieve that you needed ascension to gain whatever it was, the favor of the gods apparently, to do? Like, what was it that you were trying to do that got you killed?
Yeah, and they are all dead, because it's not just Amnoon Oasis that is populated by ghosts. Augury Rock is populated by ghosts. All the other outposts in the Crystal Desert is populated by ghosts. And there is ruins of this Elonian civilization all throughout the desert. Lots of moldering wooden structures with like tattered bits
flags.
Tattered bits of cloth hanging from them that would have been like stretched as tents, right? There's a lot of like carved archways and obelisks. There's a few. Did you find any of the tomb entrances?
Yeah, I am not sure that I did, but what I did find was a lot of what looked like they could have been signposts that were just tattered banners.
Oh, that reminds me, actually. This is a completely unrelated aside, but it's from last episode. I wanted to point out that the sign that's leading to the explorable area outside Henge of Denravi
Yeah.
It is in the white mantle design, and there is no conceivable reason that the Henge of Ravi would have a white mantle signage in it.
Yeah. What it's clearly Shining Blade Stronghold.
Well, it's Shining Blade Stronghold, and before that it was a Druid Stronghold.
Yeah.
So I just find that hilarious that they just, because they just stuck the sign asset in there, right? And didn't think about it.
Right.
But
it's in the jungle. Let's use this one.
Exactly. Yeah. A little bit of an anomaly from last episode.
So what were the tomb entrances? Describe those.
They're just these little like burrows in some of the rocks in like salt flats had these weird little tomb entrances. I don't know if I'll be able to find a picture because I really don't want to fight my way through the salt flats to find one. But one thing I did take a picture of was the big old statue head in salt flats.
Oh.
Did you find that?
I don't think I did.
Oh,
I know which one you're talking about, but I have, because I've run across it before, but I don't think I came across it this time.
Let me see. I'm going to send it to you on Discord right now, actually.
Okay.
Take a look at that. I found that at near the entrance to Salt Flats that I went through. There's several different entrances to Salt Flats, so you might have went in a different one. I
went in a different way. I know I did because I used a teleporter and I got myself to a different place.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I have come across that before.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like this thing.
Yeah. You'll have to put it on the screen for the viewers.
Yes, that is why I took the screenshot, because I was like, we can't talk about this and not show this. Super neat statue. There's going to be a I don't know if it's the same statue or just a statue like this that's going to come in play in a quest that we do later. But yeah, keep an eye out for statues, guys. They're cool. So that was kind of the vibe I got from the desert, was just this kind of ghost civilization, blowing in the wind, kind of haunted feeling, eerie, right? And I love that whole vibe in the desert. So even though the story is maybe a little weak in the desert, the lore is strong, and I'm a fan. In Augury Rock, after I talked to all those generals and got the general gist of what we're supposed to be doing, I found it interesting that they don't give you a primary quest that takes you anywhere. You are just expected to go out and find these missions.
Yeah. Like no direction, just...
Yeah.
They just give you the general, like, cardinal direction.
Yeah.
Head east, head northwest, head south, and you're like, oh, okay.
As far as I'm aware, up until now, we have always had a primary quest to direct us where to go. Even if the primary quest was like from a weird NPC that we wouldn't have thought it'd be from, we had a quest. This is kind of the first time the game is like, go figure it out.
Yeah.
So we did you need the wiki to figure out where Alona Reach was?
What?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was considering like, oh, maybe I'll just wander around and see what I find. And then life happened and I did not have time to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to just cut to the chase. So I looked up where Alona Reach is and I got myself there this morning. Actually, I just played this content this morning.
Nice.
There was a few people there were a few people in Augury Rock for us to talk to. There was an NPC that I missed that you told me to go talk to named Jorn Kudabe.
Kudabe, yeah.
Kudabe.
Kudabe.
And he has a quest called Into the Unknown.
He does.
And he says that some of our old friends are in town.
Yeah.
And I think I know who these might be. Well, I mean, I do know because I did the quest. But when he says this, I'm like, oh shit, it's the gang.
It's the gang.
The gang's back, guys.
Yeah, they've made it out to the Crystal Desert, and you're like, what are you doing out here?
Yes, and Jorn does mention that he considers people so a lot of people have attempted Ascension and failed. And he kind of views this as like a spectator sport. He's like, yeah, I like to watch people try it and die. It's great.
He's got nothing else better to do.
Yeah, there's like a betting pool or something at Augury Rock. So yeah, he says he himself attempted it and failed. As it seems the entire Elonian population kind of did. At least as far as we know so far. We'll find out in Nightfall that Elona is a much larger continent and has several different civilizations in it. But yeah, this is a kind of just a cheeky little quest where we go meet up with Sin and Menlo and Devona and Aiden, who we encountered in just earlier parts of the game, a little bit in the Shiver Peaks, a little bit in Kryta. And I think this is the first time seeing them since Kryta.
Yeah, I believe so.
They have not leveled up once.
No.
They're still level 16, same as they were right outside Lion's Arch.
Yeah.
So now I'm the big man in town, right? I'm like, guys, I'm level 20. What are you guys doing? Lena's higher level than you. Like,
right, seriously.
Yeah. There is no combat in this quest. In fact, if you have this quest active, there's no fucking Hydras out there either. So this quest...
I didn't realize that. Yes.
Yeah, keeping this quest active is actually kind of a life hack if you don't want to deal with the goddamn Hydras every time you leave Augury Rock.
I should have done that.
Yeah, I should have too. I foolishly turned it in. But we go meet them outside, and Sin... I didn't even write down what they said. I just wrote that Sin is grumpy and Menlo is apologetic for her grumpiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote down Sin, Menlo, and Devona say it's nice to see you. Well, except Sin, who's always a smartass. So I wrote down.
Yeah, and then Devona gives us the lowdown like she always does.
And, of course.
And she's like, "Hey, Aiden's scouting ahead," and we walk
he does.
Yeah, and we walk like 2 feet over it, very slowly. By the way, they walk very slow.
I know.
They walk like there was supposed to be a conversation, like banter happening the whole time. But there's not that much dialogue. They each say like one thing. It does appear in the dialogue box, though.
It does. I screen capped it.
Yeah.
And it was helpful.
Yes. So they're finally having dialogue appear in the... I feel like that might have happened like partway through development of the game. They were like, in playtesting, they were like, hey, people would really like it if the dialogue appeared in the chat box.
Yeah.
Because it's getting more consistent with that the further we go into the game. And I wanted to mention, so there's kind of a theme going on with the quest in the desert. The person who gives it to you and is like, hey, can you report back to me? A lot of the time, we don't actually give anyone any information. Like, we didn't have to go talk to Fang Fa at all. We do have to go back and talk to Jorn Kudebe after we look at the Mesa with Aiden and the gang. But we don't actually give him our impressions. He asks us for our impressions, and we don't actually give them to him. We can't, like, there's no, because we've played sections of this game where there's dialogue options we can pick for, like, sentences my character is saying, and there's nothing like that for this. We just talk to him and he gives us a crust reward. So I thought, kind of a nitpick, but if someone asks me for my impressions, I want to give them my impressions. Damn it. I do an hour-and-a-half long Guild Wars podcast on a bi-weekly basis, all right? I'm literally all about giving impressions, okay?
Yeah. I was, it's funny because what I found interesting about this quest is that Aiden was impressed that we're going to try or attempt Ascension. And they think that it might be cool if we can get the gods on our side.
Yes. And that's kind of that was mentioned by what's his name, Zamut, as well. And when we're talking to the 3 generals for the ghostly hero, they do mention that General Mendoza specifically says that infiltrating the Temple of Ascension will get us the attention of the gods, right? So kind of, so we learn a little bit about, like, the point of Ascension, which is to, like, get the favor of the gods and get the gods on your side. But it's still a very vague concept. But there's this whole deal of, like, the desert being, even more than ore, kind of, being, like, a very divine area. Yeah. With, like, big divine energy. I think Aiden mentions something about, like, the divine energy.
Menlo says, I can sense the divine energy of the place even at this distance.
Menlo, that's the one who says it. Yeah. Because he's a monk.
Yes, and Devona said, you go back and talk to that ghost. We're going to explore the immediate surroundings, but we'll see you soon. Yes,
and I think that might be an allusion to the fact that I don't know if all of them do, but several of them become henchmen in the final parts of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever get Menlo. I think we are stuck with Alicia for monks. But we do get Devona as a warrior henchman.
Yeah.
And we do get Sin as an elementalist henchman, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to talk to them afterwards, did you?
Yeah, none of them. They just have their generic placeholder things that they've been saying since we met them in Ascalon.
No time to talk.
Yep. Yeah. Sin says this is hardly a time to talk.
Yeah. Time for deeds, not words. And you're like, gee, thanks, okay. Sorry,
yeah. One of them does say it's time for bold deeds, and I'm just like, I mean, we're literally chilling right now.
I know.
This is
like for strolling. I couldn't even like toggle walk to like walk along with you.
Yeah.
I had to like stutter step because I couldn't.
Yeah, this is actual downtime, but they don't seem to understand this. In Guild Wars 2, you can toggle walk. Thank God. Yeah. But yeah, you cannot, as far as I'm aware, you cannot in Guild Wars 1.
I couldn't remember, and I didn't look it up, and I was like, surely there's a way, and I was like, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong game.
If anybody in the comments knows how to toggle walk in Guild Wars 1, please tell me. It may come in handy.
Yeah.
There was another quest in Augury Rock from a dude named Marchina.
Marchina, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's literally a go kill 10 Minotaurs. Go kill 10 Minotaurs. And he's literally just pissed because Minotaurs killed him.
Yeah.
So he's like, go kill 10 of those motherfuckers. And then come tell me you did it. And then when you come tell him, he's just like, yeah, did you fuck him up good? Like, he is really sadistic about it.
Yeah, he was very, very pleased that you killed him.
Yeah. And I wasn't going to do this quest, and then Miko pointed out that some of the collectors probably collect the Minotaur horns. And you're right, I believe they do, so I did go do the quest, and I got a couple horns.
Yeah, I got a couple horns.
Have you seen the max rating armor available at some of the collectors here?
70 for Rangers.
Yeah, that's 80 nice. For warriors, and yeah, that's max armor rating for medium and heavy in Guild Wars 1. I'm not that fussed about it, though.
Yeah.
Because once we finish the desert, we're going to be spawning at an outpost where I can craft much cooler looking max rating armor.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I'm collecting the bits in the trophies anyway, just in case I happen to get the 5, and I happen to come across one of the collectors. Although, I think... Oh, I know. I remember what I was doing out in Prophet's Path when I ran into that sandworm. I was actually trying to find the freaking bleached carapace collector because I had enough, and I was like, well, I'll just take a jaunt out there to go and find him and get my whatever it was that he had, gloves or something.
I think the bleached carapace guy, because he only needs 2, right? I think he only needs
5.
Oh, he needs 5. Okay. Yeah. There's a Forgotten Seal collector in Amnoon. And he has the helmet I need. He's got the Hammer Mastery helmet. Okay. The other collector in Amnoon collects something that you only need 2 of, but he has the swordsmanship helmet, and I do not need that.
Yeah, I don't think I need what he's got either.
But yeah, I've been doing the same thing for every chapter of the game, is hoarding all the collectibles, just in case I come across a good collector. It has paid off maybe 1 or 2 times. Because I still had to do a lot of farming for the collectible armor in the Maguma jungle, and I don't know if that was worth it. Because I could have just crafted armor with the same rating at Henge of Dinravi or Amnoon Oasis. So yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how happy I am with that farming session. That was like 3 hours of jungle troll farming.
Yeah.
I regret spending my evening doing that.
There was one other NPC in Augury Rock that I was sure would have a quest for us, and
but
he didn't.
He doesn't have an exclamation mark over his head.
No, but he has a name that you would think. It made me think that, oh, well, that guy's got a cool name. Surely he's going to have a quest. And when I ran around the corner and found him, I was like, why don't you have a quest?
Well, and he quite literally gives you a quest, but except for in the game sense, right? So this guy's name is Auric the Scarab Hunter.
Yes.
And he says, "Psst, hey, I'm hunting Kepket, Queen of the Scarabs.
Yeah.
Do you want to go kill her for me? Like, he's literally, like, sicking you on this boss, right? He's like, hey, there's this sick boss in the area.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have an exclamation mark, and he doesn't have a quest in the game code. There is an NPC like this, and I mentioned him in our episode about Temple of the Ages. There's an NPC there who doesn't have a quest, but you can talk to him about the bosses nearby in the Black Curtain. And he's like, yeah, there's this tree dude and a centaur guy, whatever, right? But there's no quest. He just tells you that you can go kill these bosses if you want. And this guy's kind of the same deal. He's like, hey, there's this cool boss. You want to go find her? But no quest.
No. But the boss is actually out in Prophet's Path. And actually, looking at the map, he's not actually that far. Or
did you...
whatever.
So did you go find Kepket?
No,
okay.
I forgot.
I figured you didn't, because Kepket is really hard.
Well, Queen of the Scarabs, with a moniker like Queen of the Scarabs, I would think that it would be hard.
Well, it's funny. So I have a bit of information on Kepket, because it's a Zacian bounty. So I've done it several times in hard mode. And her boss name, when you find her in the game, her boss name is Kepket Marrowfeast. Marrowfeast, rather.
Marrowfeast.
So she's not called Kepket, Queen of the Scarabs in the game. It's just in this NPC's dialogue. So her real name is Kepket Marrowfeast. She drops a very popular protection staff called Kepket's Refuge, which is it was one of the best protection staffs in the game for a long time. Probably not anymore. It's probably been eclipsed by things. But she spawns with like 40 scarabs.
Of course she does.
Yeah, she's got them like all in a ring around her, and then there's more pop-ups when you actually start the fight. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if you could get it done with henchmen.
Oh, yeah. Probably not even going to attempt it.
And then my last fun bit of trivia is that my Necromancer character in Guild Wars 2 was named Kepket Marrowfeast for a long time. Because I think it's a sick name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah. Until I did a meme where I changed the names of all the characters on my Guild Wars 2 account to Royal Guard.
Right.
So that's what that account looks like now. But once upon a time I was cool. So after doing the quest for the 10 Minotaur guy, I think I finally went to, because we talked about Ancient Secrets and Into the Unknown. I think I finally went over to Ilona Reach.
Yeah, that's what I did as well.
And it was a little hard to find. I did have to pull up the wiki. It's clear at the other end of the desert from where we started.
Yes.
It's because we go from Prophet's Path to Skyward Reach to Salt Flats to Diviner's Ascent.
Yeah.
Cool area names in the Crystal Desert. Salt Flats is kind of bland. Also, Salt Flats not very flat. Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Lots of canyons in that motherfucker, because that's how this game is constructed. Is every map is a series of canyons.
Yeah.
That you, the player, navigate. But Diviner's Ascent, Prophet's Path, right? Skyward Reach, cool area.
Very
names.
Cool names. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. All the Seeker's Passage, and I think you said you made it to Hero's Audience.
I did.
Yeah, cool names on the outposts too.
Yeah.
And of course, Amnon Oasis is a goated outpost name, even if the outpost itself is utterly lackluster.
Yeah.
You had some trouble with Ilona Reach.
So I
wait first.
I went with my stand. Yes, I went in because the mission itself is pretty straightforward. You go and talk to your ghostly hero. He's our podium guy as well.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. Is podium guy.
Yeah, podium guy is ghostly hero. I
think he's the podium guy for every mission in the desert.
I think so. But there he is, and he tells you that ascension is close at hand. But don't let success go to your head. And then you start asking him questions about what happened. And he said, this is where my people, the Elonians, met their untimely end, trying to assemble the vision crystal. And then you ask him, what's that? Or what happened? And he said the desire for control is a powerful thing. The minds of mortal men are torn asunder with thoughts of greatness, and as is the case with many men who have achieved some power, they desire more and more until finally they either get it or destroy themselves trying. So not a good time for his Elonian friends there.
Yeah, and I think the mission bonus shines a little bit of light on this, because the mission bonus. So the mission itself is, like you said, to construct the vision crystal.
Yeah.
And the structure.
3 shards, and you have to just go and grab them and take them back to him.
Yeah, and he's got a little shrine that's got a 3-tiered pedestal that a shard goes on each. And the bonus is to take these shards to specific graves and resurrect the ritual priests from the Elonian civilization that attempted the Ascension ritual. Yeah. And the ritual priests kind of say the same things that the ghostly hero did at the podium. And I think the idea is, because he says that when you ask him what happened to his people, he says that what essentially it boils down to is the desire for power corrupts, right? Yeah. And then these priests also mention that similar concepts of their people were their own downfall and things like that. And I think the idea is that different factions of this Elonian society each had pieces of this vision crystal, and none of them could agree to come together on it. Right. And so they ended up getting killed, either squabbling over them, or I know that Zamut, or not Zamut, but Valador said that the ghostly hero himself was killed by the Forgotten, who we encounter in this mission. So it could be that they just could not assemble the vision crystal because of infighting over the crystal shards, and that allowed the Forgotten time to decimate them. So that was kind of an interesting hint that the bonus gives, but the bonus is not overt about saying that. I think it's up to your interpretation what really happened.
Yeah.
But you had a little bit of trouble with the...
Yeah, and it's not even so much because the mission itself isn't... I wouldn't say that the mission is difficult. What you have to do: grab the crystals, run them back to him, go wake up the priest if you're going after the bonus. The tasks that you have to do, or your objectives, are actually pretty straightforward. What makes this mission more challenging, especially if you're running it solo and with henchmen, is the enemies that are in the mission itself, because you've got a fuck ton of Forgotten.
What are Forgotten?
So Forgotten are these lizardy looking people or creatures, and we don't know yet who they are, but they are Forgotten. That's their name, and they are super powerful. They are, for the most part, I think they're all spellcasters. If I'm wrong, you can correct me.
Well, they have constructs for their melee
and they've got
physical damage dealers.
Yeah, they're all constructs. They're the enchanted whatever.
Sword, enchanted bow, and that name makes it sound like it's just a sword floating in the air. Not so. It's a whole set of armor with a sword and a shield, and it's named enchanted sword, or a full guy with a bow, right? And it's named enchanted bow. So they're these animated suits of armor. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the Forgotten themselves, they've got sages, which are really, really good healers.
They have the best healing skill in the game. Word of Healing.
Yep.
These guys pissed me the hell off.
Yeah,
because they're very hard to kill, because Word of Healing is very good.
Yeah, they're hard to kill, and if you have a group, the thing with this is that their patrols, they might have a group of 3, let's say. But if there are others nearby and you happen to be kind of close, they will come and join the fight. And then things get a little bit dicey.
Yeah, and the patrols, so they patrol, right? They have paths. And the Forgotten in particular, because they're snake people, right? They have a cobra hood, but arms attached to the cobra hood. They got 4 arms. They're actually kind of nightmarish looking. They look like demons from the abyss. They're very bizarre looking. And then they slither like snakes.
Yes.
And they do it really fast. They move a lot faster on their patrol routes than standard enemies would. So it's really easy to catch an extra aggro. I somehow managed to make it through this mission without double aggroing.
I'm glad you did, because I was trying, and then all of a sudden I had a bunch of people around me.
Because the middle area, there's like kind of paths around in this mission, and the middle area is just like 10 groups of Forgotten.
And if you can, like what I was trying to do was kind of cut through the middle without my aggro bubble touching any of them. But of course the casters have, their skills can reach further, so their aggro bubble kind of overlaps. So I was trying my very best when I was trying to go. So I had no problems getting the first and the second crystal. I ran into trouble when I was going out, and when I was leaving the Ghostly Heroes little fort area, for lack of a better word, to go out to go get the third crystal, because the wiki will tell you if you can use the back door to get the third crystal, do it. And I was like, I wonder where that back door is. Maybe it's over here, and I chose the wrong path. Okay. And then it was me having to backpedal, just trying to like back up and de-aggro and flag my henchmen back further and further back, but then they just got annihilated. I tried to resurrect them. I blew through a couple of pieces of concepts. It was not fun. And I was like, right, Alicia is she needs help. So the casters were out, even though I do like the idea of having Denim in as a mesmer. I was like, I know that the killing will go slower, but I need Lena. And that's when I really brought her in. So I went in and crafted some more pieces of concepts just in case. And then I brought Lena and dumped the caster Orion and Dunham, and it went much, much more smoothly. Then I found the back door, or the back path, and that helped a lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did take Lena for my first go-around, so that might have been something that was helping me. And then I did just kind of take the straightforward paths, and I just took it one enemy group at a time. I took the mission real slow. One of the things the wiki mentions is that, like, hey, they give you a 30-minute timer, but it's plenty of time.
Yeah.
You can totally take this mission super slow, like pull groups individually with a bow, and you'll get it done. I still had like 8 minutes to spare when I finished. Yeah,
that's about what I had as well.
Yeah, so it's if anyone's doing this and you're like stressed out by the timer, you just take it at your own pace. I thought it was funny that the not the Forgotten, but their enchanted constructs that are their physical damage dealers, the bows and the swords.
Yeah.
The bosses for these are always named Custodian something.
Yeah.
Like Custodian Dillis, I think is one of them, and like Custodian Thad or something.
Genis.
Yeah,
Genis. Custodian Genis.
Yeah, and there's a few more Custodian bosses in some of the other missions, I think. And I kicked myself because I got the warrior one and I did not bring a signative capture, so I still do not have an elite skill.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to take my signative capture as well.
Yeah, I've been saving it. I've still got that Magi Malachier quest in my quest log.
So do I. So do I.
It's not like skills are expensive for me right now, though. Like, they only cost me like 80 gold at the skill vendor, because I haven't bought a lot.
Yeah, you've been more diligent of saving up your funds for the good skills.
Well, and we've been doing side quests, so I've gotten most of my skills from quests.
Yeah, which is handy.
Yeah, I haven't really had to do much skill purchasing. So when I do need to go get Earthshaker, which I will be doing, I'll probably buy a signative capture for that, because I think I'm going to go ahead and capture whatever warrior skills are available in the desert.
Yeah. I do want to mention, because one of the things that happened to me was I was trying not to aggro the Forgotten bosses, and then in my first playthrough or run through, I failed, and I knew that the boss names there were kind of cool, but I was trying my damnedest not to die, and I didn't even have time to like write them down. But one thing that I wanted to point out was that the Forgotten bosses have very cool, slithery sounding snake names. They've got like the double S's in their names, so it's just very fitting.
You mean like our friend Old Jones from the
Yes.
Secret River Passage?
Yeah, yes.
Is he a forgotten in disguise? Is that what they're telling us?
Maybe. But like the monk is called Whisper Insane.
Oh, I didn't check the name. I got the Mesmer boss. I didn't check his name either.
I got the Elementalist. No, I saw his name on the wiki, but I got the monk boss whose name I didn't even have time to like register when I was in the middle of the mission. And then I got the Elementalist one, Vasa Sis.
Wow, how long did it take you to DPS down that monk boss?
I think he nuked me. Well, I needed to focus on his friends first because he's got Ward of Healing Ward of Healing. And so long as he didn't have friends to like do damage for him, I was able to focus him down. But it did take a little bit.
Yeah, Word of Healing is going to be the elite skill that Alicia gets once we get her level 20 incarnation. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she has it until level 20. I don't think she has it at level 17.
Right.
So we're still waiting on that from Alicia. And yeah, fighting against Word of Healing monks is a nightmare. What Word of Healing does is if you're over 50% health, it heals you for like 85 health, whatever, right? If you're under 50% health, it heals you for double. It's only 5 energy cost, and it's a really short recharge. So it's just this weaponized healing machine of a skill, and it's very difficult to contend with, especially when we are dropping one of our DPSers for a protection monk. So we've only got 4 damage dealers in our parties right now. And yeah, I found the sages. One thing that's really starting to come in handy with killing these monks that actually know what they're doing is my knockdown skills. So having access to that guaranteed knockdown on heavy blow, and then being able to kind of spam that really came in handy for getting these monks taken care of.
Yeah, what my the skill that has not left my bar is one of the ones for my pet, which can do a knockdown and inflict bleeding. So if my pet crits and knocks him down, then we're having a better time, and that gives Stefan and Little Tom some time to do some damage. So between my three of those guys doing my front line, it was so long as I killed the little melee guys around the monk boss, it was okay. And it took a little while.
And something this episode made me realize is I still take myself and Little Tom in the party with how like nuked warriors are in terms of just the ridiculous amount of blind and the stupid Stormkin with their hexes and clumsiness. I might trade out Little Tom and take Orion back, because warriors just they do fine against the Forgotten, I think, but when I'm out in the desert, just explorable areas, warriors are a bad call. So I think I might be ditching Little Tom for when I'm not doing missions that center around the Forgotten, because he got eaten alive. I lost Little Tom in this episode more than Alicia, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Just warriors are not having a good time in the Crystal Desert. It's bad, guys.
Mine kept getting trapped by flame traps.
Yeah. The rock shot devourers. They just put down piles of traps.
Yeah.
Just massive piles of traps.
They were basically just burning to death.
Yeah. No, I had to I would run up to a rock shot devourer and be hitting it, and then I'd notice I was at like 90 health left with like massive health degeneration, and I'd have to run away. Yeah. I haven't had to run away before. So yeah, it's the difficulty spike in the desert is absolutely massive. The Forgotten are pretty tough to deal with, but there is a cutscene at the end of the mission once we deliver all 3 shards to. And with the bonus, we were talking about this before the episode, you do have to wake these priests up. You do not have to get them back to Tyria.
No, they will kind of help you fight. At one point, I mean, they will die, or they can die. What I found amusing is that these ghosts leave behind corpses.
Yeah, you said that you lost one and you saw the corpse.
Yeah, I actually went because I still had the vision crystal at the time, so I went and tried to like wake up the corpse, and I was like, well, maybe I can bring him back with the crystal. No, no, it was corpse. So
that's just a no. Yeah, that's just a negative.
That's
there's also splinter mines in this mission. I don't know why. They don't add anything.
Other than that, they can like hamstring you.
Yeah, well, you can pick them up. If you pick them up quickly enough, you can at least drop them near your enemies, and so your enemies will get hamstrung too.
See, I did not read that on the wiki, and I didn't try, because I was like, I feel like I could. Can I like destroy these? No, you cannot.
Well, I figured
I didn't try interacting to like pick them up.
Yeah, I figured like, oh, if I pick it up and I put it down, then the enemies get hurt and not me. No, just both of you get hurt at that point. Right. So yeah, these are annoying and they add nothing to the mission, and I wish they weren't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, you don't actually have to escort the priest for the bonus back to...
Which was thankful.
Awesome.
I was very grateful of that.
Well, I was thankful for it because I don't know if I was just on autopilot or what, but I didn't even think to do that. I was just like, okay, wake him up. All right, moving on. Like, I didn't even think to do, like, try to do it. And then I saw the bonus go off, and I was like, okay, I got the bonus done. And then you messaged me, and you were like, did you notice you don't have to escort the priest back? And I was like, it did not even occur to me to do so.
Yeah.
I think I had one of them that made it back, because they'll, like, wander back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I had one of them that made it back and was there waiting, and I was like, oh, yeah, I woke you up.
Hey, dude, what's up?
Yeah, and I was like, I guess the rest are on their way or dead. Anyway, cutscenes start. So yeah, there's a cutscene at the end, and he's basically like, hey, you made a vision crystal, good job. Mm-hmm. And so supposedly the vision crystal, we can help, we can use that to help get the attention of the gods, but we've still got 2 more trials of ascension we have to do.
Yes. Now, did you notice the like pillars that were near him, and the architecture, the sculptures on them?
I don't think so. No. What's on the pillars?
I just sent you a screen cap that I took. They have carved figures on them, also some runes.
Oh, those ones. Yeah. Those are also all through Prophet's Path.
Yes, they're all over the Crystal Desert, and what we're talking about are they're carved figures that look like they might be wearing pointy hoods and might be praying. I don't know. They've got their hands up in it, like sort of a kind of prayer position, and they've got runes. And these are generally 4-sided. I don't think they're 3-sided. I think they're 4-sided, and they're carved statues basically on these pillars.
And they look like the movie version of Death Eaters in the Harry Potter movies with the with the big pointy hats. Yeah. I don't know what those mean.
I don't know either, but I thought they were really cool, so I took a screen cap of it.
They look neat. Yeah, I think they're if I had to guess, because they do have the runes on them and they glow white. And we're going to find some white glowing runes a little later. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think that it has something to do with the Elonians and their ascension rituals. Now, here's the question. And I'm sure that we may find the answer to this later, or somebody already knows the answer to this. I probably watched a video on the answer to this, but I can't think of the answer off the top of my head. There's a lot of wooden architecture throughout the desert and a lot of stone architecture throughout the desert. And I don't necessarily know that they're from the same civilizations.
No, I kind of thought that they were not.
Yeah, because they're wildly different, right? And a wildly different level of technological advancement. Like wood, like ramshackle kind of tattered tents versus this like very elaborately carved stone and runes and stuff. So yeah, I think there's multiple layers of history available here in the desert. And again, we might get more information on that. I'm not sure. I genuinely don't remember if that's elaborated on now, if it's elaborated on later, or if it's elaborated on at all. So we'll see. And then something I forgot to mention earlier, and now that we're talking about the layers of history in the desert, did you find any bleached bones while you were running around?
No, I did not.
I did.
Okay, tell me about it.
So bleached bones are just like these little things you find on the ground in the Crystal Desert. They're the words are yellow, right? So you can go click on them, but you can't pick them up. They're not a bundle item. They just open a little dialogue window when you pick them up, and they're like journal excerpts. I don't know how they're journal excerpts. I don't know if these people like carved runes into these piles of bones, or if the idea is there's like journal pages with the bleached bones. But the bleach bones I found one set. There's several sets of them. The one I found had a journal excerpt about how they cut off some dude's leg and ate it.
Nice.
Yeah,
that escalated quickly.
Yeah, like a Donner Party type of deal where they're like traveling the desert. They're a group of people traveling the desert, starving, and they like draw straws, and one dude gets unlucky, and they chop off a section of his leg, and everyone eats it. My question, and the bleached bone journal entry does not answer this: did this man partake of his own leg flesh? I don't know, and I don't think we ever get to know. Also, there's a dune lizard pet you can capture, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I did see the dune lizard pet, and I did not capture it.
I didn't either. I spent a lot of time getting my pet to level 20. I don't want to start over. Very cool pet. I don't think I've ever met another player who was rocking a dune lizard, but I cannot be bothered to level another pet.
No.
So yeah, I think that's everything we did in the desert proper. But as we mentioned a little earlier, we did do one more thing, didn't we?
We did.
We have finally begun the bonus mission pack.
Yes.
And Turai Asa, aka the Ghostly Hero, has his own mission.
Yes.
And those dudes we talked to earlier were all like, I served with Turai Asa at Jahai. I also served with Turai Asa at Jahai. Have I told you I served with Turai Asa at Jahai?
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what Jahai is, are you about to find out.
Yes.
Because this mission is the Battle of Jahai, starring Turai Asa.
Yes.
And Palua Joko.
Yes.
Whose name was also mentioned by one of those general dudes.
Yes.
I think it's interesting that they had all that lore written down when Prophecies came out, because Nightfall doesn't come out until like a year and a half later.
Right.
And that's all Nightfall stuff and Guild Wars 2 stuff. But the names are there. They're there in Prophecies. I wonder if it was like in Star Wars A New Hope, when Ben Kenobi is just like, I served with your father in the Clone Wars, right? And like, they didn't know what the hell that meant when they made that movie, I wonder if that's just like filler lore name dropping that they just put in real quick. And then they were like, when Nightfall was coming out, they're like, let's make this a thing.
I don't know. I like to think that maybe the world building was a little bit better and further along, so that they could just say, all right, we're going to drop this here and we'll pick it up later, but that they actually did have a plan.
Right. There is a whole writing team as opposed to just George Lucas, right?
Right.
So that would make sense. And writing's always ahead of the game, right? Like writing is always planned out way, way, way further than the actual game.
Or it should be, yes.
Yeah. So the way you do these bonus missions is you go all the way back to Lion's Arch, and you talk to Dermot, the historian, the guy who founds the German Priory like 70 years from now. I don't know when he does it. He's the namesake, okay? Just throwing that out there for the Guild Wars 2 initiated. He gives you a book. You select the mission you want to do from him. I actually didn't read his dialogue. He does have dialogue. I did not read it.
He does. He asks you what story you'd like to hear.
Oh, okay. So not complicated.
No.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get the book, and we have to wear this guy's sword and shield.
Yeah, he gives you the book and then weapons. And you must equip the weapons.
I wish if I had been a sword shield warrior, I would have just grabbed these. Like as soon as we got to Lion's Arch, I would have grabbed these. But I am unfortunately a hammer warrior, so I can't do that. You know what that just reminded me? That's mildly unrelated. You, when you type /bonus, don't get to have your fire imp anymore, do you?
Nope.
Because you're level 20.
No more fire imp. I'm level 20.
Are you feeling the loss of the fire imp?
I mean, I would have been nice to have somebody who would throw out some more fire skills to help Orion out.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the fire imp is much more powerful than Orion.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you can see the damage the fire imp does, and it's like not insignificant.
Yeah, and I have another summoning stone in my I found another summoning stone in my bank, so I grabbed it, but it's like a Winter's Day one that you can summon a Grench or something. It's basically a Necro, and I'm I don't know how useful this is going to be out in the desert, so I didn't actually summon him.
You can summon Gretch Trundle, the moss scarab from the Maguma jungle.
Is that who it is?
No, it's just I just think it's funny that his name is very similar to the Grenches.
Yeah.
I think the Grench you summon is wearing a Santa hat, which is
I think so.
Comical in and of itself.
Yeah,
we will. It's a Winter's Day thing. Yeah, we will not be playing the holiday content for anybody wondering. If you would like to do that, it's coming up later in the year. Do that on your own time. But we put on Turiasa's sword and shield. We open his book. You can read the pages. It's got a little bit of information about what the Battle of Jahai is, kind of the backstory that went into it. Essentially, what we learn is Turiasa was the war marshal of a place called Korna down in Elona, which is even further south of the Crystal Desert. The Crystal Desert is kind of the northwestern tip of Elona, I want to say. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, the northwestern tip of Elona, and then the continent continues into a place called the Desolation, into a place called Vabi. All these places are mentioned in the bonus mission that we do. So there's Turiasa is the war marshal of Korna. He is kind of the leader of the Elonian forces against this tyrannical necromancer lich guy. I don't know if it refers to him as a lich in this story, but in the Nightfall campaign, he is explicitly referred to as a lich.
It does at the end
it mentions he's unkillable. Yeah. Yeah, so this Palawajoko guy, he's an unkillable lich, he's undead, he has an army of undead, and he's besieging the nation of Elona. Not really besieging, conquering is a better term. The nation of Elona, which is to the south of Tyria. We haven't been there yet. And this guy, and this all happened hundreds of years ago, right? And this guy Turiasa is the last line of defense. He's summoned a kind of ramshackle ragtag army from the different nations of Elona. You got the Sun Spears from Istan in there. You got the Cornin elite guard. You got some Vabian dudes. And we spawn into this mission, and we've got a crack squad of 12 guys with us.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Even if they die, come back, which is handy.
Yeah, I did notice that I would see them die, but they're able to resurrect each other. Because I saw my numbers weren't going down, and I was like, sweet. This mission's really fun and really cool.
It is, and I mean, it's if you like us at this point, we haven't played through Nightfall, so once we get into Nightfall content, a lot of this and the place names that Aaron just mentioned will make a lot more sense, because the Elonian people Nightfall takes place in Elona, and so we get to see what has happened to that continent of people. But for now,
and this is a pivotal moment of history in
history.
Elona.
Yes,
yeah, this is basically the moment. This is D-Day essentially, right? It's the moment the tide turned. In what could have been a very apocalyptic war for Elona.
Right.
And we are playing as Turiasa. We are the ghostly hero.
Yes.
Except alive and flesh and blood. And something he's really tall when we meet him in So when we meet the ghostly hero in Amnoon Oasis, he's pretty tall. You are a literal giant when you play as Tyria. So you have the skill Giant Stomp.
Yes, which is very handy.
It is the best skill I've ever used. It's my favorite thing ever. So you are a gigantic man named Tyria, and you are like nearly godlike in power. Your Giant Stomp does 100 damage to everything within like a 50-foot radius of you.
Yeah, and knocks them down, which is important.
You have a skill, a shout called For Ilona that just gives everybody a crap load of armor and makes everybody attack 33% faster. It's awesome. You have a skill called Dragon Slash, which if you've got your double adrenaline active, just recharges itself. And you can just spam it. Spoiler alert, that's how I killed Palawa Joko.
Yeah, I was doing that as well.
Yeah, you've got a Sun Spear skill called Whirlwind Attack, which just hits everybody for plus damage. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's spin to win.
Yeah, and your auto attacks hit people for like 95 damage.
Yeah.
Just no skills, just auto attacks. It's great. I love being Tyria.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker.
He is.
And you start out and you're just plowing through dudes. And there's a lot, like, the amount of just, like, people on screen, like, models on screen and stuff is crazy in this mission.
Go ahead.
You can watch the battle going below you.
Yes. You got a range of enemies from different levels. From the lowliest is, like, level 10, and then the highest, I think, is something like level 22.
I think
the 24?
I think the giants are level 24, and the giants were the ones that were killing me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I almost died to the giants several times.
Because they are, I think, rangers, and they've got a skill called Barrage.
Yes, so for anybody who doesn't know what Barrage is, I have a feeling that Miko is going to get very familiar with Barrage.
Yeah, I love Barrage.
It is a skill that hits all adjacent foes, and it is for like plus whatever damage depending on your marksmanship, and it has a 1 second recharge.
It's a great elite skill.
So it is highly spammable, and there's these sections of this mission with these giants who have barrage, and they got me pretty close to dying a few times. I had to kind of back off and use my healing signet. But yeah, you kind of just hack and slash your way through. The kind of plot is similar to what the Persians do to the Spartans in 300. You find a little mountain path and you like flank Joko. And you can watch the major battle playing out beneath you as you're going through this mountain path. And there's like hordes of like sun spears and cornins fighting all these undead. You can see like trebuchets going and stuff. It's a really impressive use of the engine. It shows what they're really able to do with it like years and years down the line into the game's development. Because this content is a lot newer than the Prophecies content we're playing now.
Right.
And you just got a bunch of overpowered skills, and you just hack your way through all these fodder mobs. It's really fun.
It is.
Did you struggle with it at any point?
I one point only because I didn't. Aaron had given me tips because he went through and did the bonus before I did, and he was just like, just open with Giant Stomp and hit your healing signet. I'm a bad warrior. I just want to like get that on record in case anyone had any doubts. Healing signet is a skill I've never like thought that spamming it was a good thing. In this mission, you don't have a healer. You want to be spamming healing signet because it boosts up your health and can turn the tides and just keep letting you fight. So at one point I got overwhelmed and I wiped right near the end, right before I got to actually go down and fight Palawa Joko. So I was sad panda, and I just had to reroll. But then the second time it was better, and I won.
Yeah, and to contextualize just how many enemies you're fighting, like you're fighting like 12, 15 dudes at a time in this mission. The mobs are not small amounts, so you probably hack your way through 100 people.
And it's okay when they're level 10, but when you hit the ones who are like level 22, it can get a little dicey if you're not smart.
The most difficult ones for me were the undead earth elementalists. They use a skill called Obsidian Sanctum.
Sanctum, yeah.
or something like that. Obsidian Sanctum is the jumping puzzle in World v World. Obsidian something. Obsidian Flesh, that's the one.
Obsidian Flesh,
gives them an absurd amount of extra armor, and I'm like hitting for 0 against them. And I had to, the only skill I could use that would do damage was Dragon Slash, and I'd hit for like 13 damage. And I found it really difficult to attrition down those Earth Elementalists. Other than that, I was able to make it to Joko on my first try. Nice. And the wiki has some advice for fighting Joko, because he has a lot of life-stealing abilities. That's kind of how he heals. And life-stealing abilities on a Necro are armor ignoring, so he also does a lot of damage to you while healing himself. So you really need to use your healing signet during the Joko fight. What I did was I popped my 4 Alona Shout, because it gives you faster attack speed.
Yeah.
I believe you have 4 Great Justice on there for double adrenaline.
You do, yes.
Yeah. And then I just spammed Dragon Slash and Healing Signet until he died.
Nice. Yeah, I was using Endure Pain as well, just to kind of give me a bit more.
Oh yeah, I run Endure Pain on Aaron.
Yeah.
And yeah,
get
popping that going into a fight is just, that's my everyday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have been playing Warrior for the last 4 months, so I was maybe a little more prepared for this mission.
Yeah. I was like, wait, how do Warriors work again?
When we go in for Hearts of the North and we have to play as a ranger, you're going to be vindicated.
Yeah. Yep.
But there's maybe the coolest cutscene ever at the end of this. I was just
going to say, the end scene, it is an epic cutscene, because it goes into like slow motion and everything. Like, you get to see when Tyria just like stabs Joko and then like smacks him as well with his shield. Oh, it's great.
It's really well animated slow-mo too. It
really is.
And this is all considering that this came out in like 2007 in a game engine that was developed in like the year 2000, right? It's a really well done slow motion. It's not choppy or anything like that. No. And Joko jumps at him and he stabs him, and then he comes through with like the shield bash to the face. Yeah. And then he like throws him off the bridge like Gollum going into Mount Doom, right? Yeah. It's I think it's the coolest cutscene in Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's excellent stuff. And then after that cutscene, I added my notes, cool shit, man. And then Tyria also kind of narrates, and he's like, it turns out Joko's unkillable, so we just entombed him. And Joko's part of the plot in Nightfall, and that tomb that they show there, that kind of red glowing skull thing, we got to go there in Nightfall.
Yes.
So that's something we're going to be following up on.
Yeah, and basically by entombing Joko, Tyria also just gave him however many years to just stew and get more and more pissed that he had been essentially sealed away. And so
like Dracula style, he's like chilling in his coffin, just like staring at the wood.
And just getting more and more ticked off and plotting his revenge. Yeah.
And I think the idea, because I want to say this was like 200 years ago, and after he defeats Joko and unifies Alona, I want to say that's when Tyria moves into the Crystal Desert with his whatever part of the population of Alona wanted to come with him and pursue Ascension.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, which brings us around to the ghosts in the Crystal Desert and Prophecies. So it's great that this mission ties into what we're doing now. I think that's really cool. It gives us some context to who this ghostly hero guy is and why he's a hero.
Yeah. And what's cool is that they picked up, like we said, the threads of that story obviously get picked up in Nightfall, but they also get picked up later on in Guild Wars 2 in Path of Fire. We get, references to, we get references to Palawa Joko, we get references to Rai Asa, we go out into the desert. It's great.
Yeah, no, there's a whole deal in Guild Wars 2.
We'll get there eventually.
Lots of Alonian content in like late Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Because Guild Wars 2 isn't just a game, guys. It's like a lifespan. and we'll be getting there one day. But yeah, that was a super cool mission. And then lots of good content in the desert. Very difficult combat, but just kind of a cool area vibe-wise. Next episode.
Yes.
We're going to do... I think we're going to do some missions.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 more Ascension missions to go.
And then we got to... 3. Yeah, and we want to do some side quests. We got our plus 15 attribute quests we want to do.
Yep.
Got to make sure that happens. And then we've got... Total, we've got 4 more missions in the desert to do. Because there's the 2 Trials of Ascension. Then there is the mission after that. And then there's another, like, kind of... It's not hidden because it's part of the plot, but it's sort of a hidden mission after that. Because you're not expecting it. Right. So that's what we've got for the desert. We're going to break that up in probably over 2 episodes. Probably 2 more desert episodes. Definitely, I think Thirsty River mission and Dunes of Despair mission next episode.
Yeah.
So look forward to that, guys. And then as far as what we went over in the episode, did we miss anything? What did you have anything else in your notes that I missed?
I think we covered it all.
I did. Yeah, I think we did. No, we went over that too. Yeah, we talked about Eric the Scarab guy. I almost was like, we didn't talk about him. No, we had a whole conversation. Yeah. I did think it was funny that guy is only level 10. I don't think he's getting much scarab hunting accomplished. No. But
he sends out people who come into Augury Rock. He's like, hey, you want to go and find this guy?
His definition of scarab hunting is just that he tells anyone who will listen about this queen of the scarabs.
Yeah. Go and hunt her for me.
Yeah, and hopes that someone will bring her back and be like, I did it. And then he can take it and take credit for it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Arik the Scarab guy. I think he was supposed to be a quest, and they just never got around to that.
Maybe.
But that is probably going to do it for us. We've got quite the chonker of an episode this bye week, so I hope everybody enjoyed. Miko, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Inky Sticks everywhere.
Perfect. And what you guys can do for me, for us, for the channel is go ahead and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a follow. And you can give us a rating if you want to give us a rating. You can like the video on YouTube as well. I think that helps. People say that helps.
Yes, helps the algorithm.
Yeah, and we've been corresponding with people in the comments. So if you have anything you'd like to say, we usually reply. And if you see us on in game, you can message us in game too. I got a message from one of our viewers when I was playing last night. Very friendly person. Nice. So yeah, if you guys ever want to send us a message in game, that's always fair game as well. And you can check out our music and graphic guy, Arctic's Booze Bus, on YouTube. He does his own musical projects, so go ahead and check that out. And I think this is going to be going up on June 24th. So that's the date that you're watching this now or later. Next episode is probably going to be July 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah, July 8th. So stay tuned July 8th for episode 13, where we do a couple more desert missions. Until then, we will see everybody later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.